From Doubleday to Current Day, this is Vintage Baseball Rewind. And today's show is all about November 30th. And as of 2022, there have been 45 Major League Baseball players who've been born and 47 Major League Baseball players who passed away, and there were over 60 special events, all that happened on November 30th on this date in baseball history. Here are 5 things that every baseball fan should know about November 30th. I'm Tom Hannon from VintageBaseball.com, and we just love to get this podcast going with some trivia. Several players have won the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year award, and we'll be discussing that in a bit, but only one player has been on the cover for the SI Sportsman of the Year award twice. Who is he? Here are 5 things about November 30th. On November 30th, 1962, superathlete Bo Jackson is born. Jackson knew enough about baseball to forge an 8-year career with the Royals and White Sox, often breaking bats in frustration over his mammoth thighs when he struck out. A Heisman Trophy Award winner as a running back at Auburn, Jackson gained more than 4,300 yards and scored 43 touchdowns in his 4 seasons at the university. After his selection by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the number 1 pick in the 1986 NFL Draft, Jackson miraculously chose to sign a baseball contract with the Kansas City Royals instead. After less than a year in the minors, Bo found himself in the major leagues for good in 1987. He belted 22 home runs and displayed his speed and amazing throwing arm as an outfielder. On one occasion, he hurled a ball from the warning track to home plate on the fly. After his first full big league season, Jackson also played for the Oakland Raiders, gaining nearly 7 yards per carry while finding the end zone 4 times in 7 games. He played both professional baseball and football for 4 seasons, and in 1989, in his only baseball all-star game, he crushed a home run in his very first at-bat and was named the MVP. That all happened with Ronald Reagan in the booth as well, so it's a fun listen, and I'll include that in the show notes. In the 1990 NFL playoffs, Jackson unfortunately suffered a hip injury that ended his football career. Defying his critics, Jackson returned to baseball after the injury and miraculously played 2 more seasons for the White Sox and Angels after his hip replacement surgery. One will only know what his full potential really was. On November 30th, 1948, Lou Boudreau was selected as the American League Most Valuable Player. He becomes the only manager to win a World Series and be named League's MVP in the same season. Boudreau had appeared in the top 10 for MVP voting 4 other times. But in 1948, he had a monstrous season. He hit 18 home runs, drove in 106 runs, both career highs, and batted .355. And just for some perspective, over his career, he hit just 68 home runs. So he hit 26% of his home runs in 1948. He did drive in 100 runs one other time in 1940, but other than 1940 and 48, he never had more than 70 RBIs in a single season, and his .987 OPS was 140 points higher than any other season. The future Hall of Famer will hit .273 in 6 World Series games when the Indians win over the Milwaukee Braves in 6. That was the last World Series that the Cleveland Indians have won to date. Cleveland Indian owner Bill Veeck said, "Sometimes the best trades are the ones you never make." You see, he had almost been dealt to the St. Louis Browns early in the year, but the Tribe fans went crazy, which prompted Veeck to rethink his transaction. Now, he's going to remain in Cleveland through the 1950 season before finishing up his Hall of Fame career in Boston. Billy Williams wins the National League Rookie of the Year on November 30th, 1961. Williams had hit .278 with 25 home runs and 86 RBIs. He's named on 10 of the 16 ballots cast by the writers. The runner-up was Joe Torre, who received 5 votes. Torre and Williams will later become teammates in the Hall of Fame. Now, this time of year, it's November. There's a lot of hot stove baseball going on, contracts being signed, both good and bad. But I'm going to give you one of the best contract signings in the history of baseball. November 30th, 1998, Randy Johnson signs a 4-year deal with Arizona for roughly $50 million. The deal is going to be an absolute bargain for the Diamondbacks, as he goes 81-27 with the 2.48 ERA and 139 starts. He's going to fire 11 shutouts, strike out over 1,400 batters, and here's the most amazing thing. He's going to win the Cy Young in all 4 seasons. He also won the Triple Crown in 2002 and, of course, pitched Arizona to its first and only to date World Series title in 2001. And in that World Series, he's going to co-MVP it with Curt Schilling. Now, before we get to trivia, just a quick word about our sponsor, Tom's Vintage Baseball. We like to say baseball is the only game you can watch on the radio. Tom's Vintage Baseball is all about the voices of the game. Announcers, game highlights, and interviews. In today's brief episode, we highlighted Lou Boudreau. I have the entire 1948 World Series that you can listen to at tomsvintagebaseball.com. That series also features future Hall of Famers Bob Feller, Warren Spahn, Bob Lemon, Larry Doby, Satchel Paige, and Joe Gordon. And record crowds in Cleveland saw what turns out to be their last title to date, as they are the longest-running franchise now without a title. So it's definitely worth listening to. We also have a bunch of stuff on Billy Williams. He played in multiple All-Star games in the 60s. There's dozens of regular season games. Overall, we have well over 300 games from the 30s to the 70s, hundreds of interviews, game highlights, and it's super easy. You try it out for free, see if you like it. And hey, there's even an app for your iPhone or Android. Tom'sVintageBaseball.com. Now, that trivia. Several players have won the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year award. And we'll be discussing that in a bit. But only one player has been on the cover for the SI Sportsman of the Year award twice. Who is he? This player was the co-winner in 2001 with teammate Randy Johnson when they pitched for the Arizona Diamondbacks and they won the World Series. He was also named as part of the 2004 Red Sox when they broke the 86-year-old curse in 2004. That would be Curt Schilling, who was on the cover in both 2001 and 2004, which brings us to the last event of the day. On November 30th in 2009, Sports Illustrated names Derek Jeter as its Sportsman of the Year, making the captain the first Yankee honored by the magazine. The other baseball recipients to win the award, given annually since Sports Illustrated's inception in 1954, include Johnny Padres of the Dodgers, Stan Musial of the Cardinals, Sandy Koufax of the Dodgers, Tom Seaver of the Mets, Pete Rose of the Reds, Orel Hershiser of the Dodgers, Cal Ripken of the Orioles, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa in 1998. And, of course, I already mentioned this, Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling from 2001 and the entire Red Sox team in 2004. That's all we have for today, and just as a reminder, the best place to find me is at tomsvintagebaseball.com. Hop on over, join for free, and then hit me up with the chat. I'd love to hear your baseball stories. We appreciate you joining us today for the session for the Vintage Baseball Rewind, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit tomsvintagebaseball.com for more resources as well as access to previous episodes about baseball history. Until next time, we'll see you at the ballpark.